boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this. A look at Nick Ball's upcoming title defense on the undercard of Moses Hitelma versus Dillian Veit. Nick is going to be facing unbeaten Sam Goodman of Australia. That's the same Sam Goodman that was supposed to face Inouye at 122 on a number of occasions, but due to injuries, it didn't happen. Now he's moving up. Sporting an unblemished record of 20-0 with 8 KOs, he will be making his featherweight debut against Nick Ball, standing in at about 5'6". He will be the taller, longer fighter of the two, even though he's the fighter that's moving up in weight. And I had no idea that Sam was considering a move upstairs to the featherweight division, likely because there are no world titles of opportunity at 122. To get a belt, you gotta go through one guy because he's got them all. And I never felt that Sam really wanted the Inouye fight. The way it kept getting postponed, the way he kept getting injured, I just didn't buy it. So maybe in Sam's mind, Nick is a more beatable guy than Inouye, who sports a professional record of 22 wins with no losses, 1 draw, 13 knockouts, coming off of a very productive year last year. Fought about 3 times last year, once in March, again in June, then again in October, and he's already seen action once this year against TJ Haney, who he retired in his corner after 10 rounds. So Nick has had a productive last 12 months, but the same can be said for Sam Goodman, who in spite of all the Inouye cancellations, he fought 2 times last year, and he's already fought once this month on the 14th, against Cesar Espinoza. That's saying that neither fighter will have any ring rust to shake off in August. They've both seen action more than once in the last 12 months. Who wins the fight? It's hard not to go with Nick Ball to win this thing because Sam Goodman was not a knockout merchant at 122. I don't think he's all of a sudden going to be a knockout merchant at 126. And to beat Nick Ball, I think he needs a knockout. I think you need a certain amount of power to get this guy's respect, because if you can't, he's going to crash the pocket, get all in your wheelhouse, and try to manhandle you. He's a pressure fighter. That's what they do, and he's not just a pressure fighter. He's a bit of a dirty boxer. Holding a guy's head down in a clinch, hip tossing a guy. He's a bit of a dirty boxer. And he's likely to keep getting away with it because this fight is a Queensbury promotion show. Not much chance that the third man in the ring is going to be on Nick Ball's case. Right in his ass. And there's not much chance that Sam stops him, that Sam knocks him out. So Nick Ball would seem the logical choice. Is this yet another tune-up fight for Nick Ball? Because if it is, it would be the 3rd tune-up fight that he's had. Ronnie Rios, TJ Haney. Is that what Sam Goodman is to Nick Ball? I guess because he's an unbeaten fighter, not a journeyman, not a gatekeeper, it is a little better than a tune-up fight. So let's call it a stay busy fight, because that's what Nick is really doing. Not unifying with the other 3 champions at this weight, but fighting this guy who's done next to nothing to earn a shot at a featherweight title. For Nick Ball, this is a stay busy fight. Not necessarily a tune-up, not really a gimme, though it kinda is. He's staying busy until such a time as he can corner a fight with Inouye. Those 2 guys' names have been attached to each other in a potential fight between them for months, to where Nick and his team may not want to roll the dice right now, unifying titles, not if they're close to facing Naoya Inoue, which makes for a bigger fight than any unification match at 126. That's the real reason none of those guys are really pushing for a fight with each other. They are all waiting on him. And that's why Nick is fighting in yet another stay busy fight. He's had 2 homecoming fights so far against 2 tune-up kind of guys, and now he's staying busy. I expect him to win. I expect him to rush Sam Goodman, make things rough and tumble, the way Nick often does, and I wouldn't be surprised if he wears him out and wears him down. I wouldn't be surprised if Nick Ball stops him. Elsewhere in the division, O'Shaquie Foster versus Stephen Fulton to clear WBC route for Bruce Shushu Carrington. Featherweight contender Bruce Carrington is poised to earn a shot at World Honors before long, with WBC champion Stephen Fulton expected to face O'Shaquie Foster at Super Feather. It is widely reported that the showdown, which would see Foster, 23-3 with 12 knockouts, put his WBC World Super Featherweight title on the line, will land on August 16th. on the undercard of Davis vs. Roach 2, and as a result, Stephen Fulton is likely to forfeit his title status at 126 and in doing so, allow Ray Vargas to regain his old strap.
What?
According to the World Boxing Council's June update, Vargas, who was made a champion in recess following a leg injury, will soon make a voluntary defense of the green and gold belt against Carlos Castro. Despite twice dropping to the canvas, the Mexican retained his title in March of last year, coming away from his encounter against Nick Ball with a highly contentious draw. Carrington, 15-0 with 9 KOs, meanwhile, is gearing up for a WBC interim title fight against Namibia's Matthias Heita, an unbeaten but largely unproven operator, next month on the 26th. Should he come through that, it has been stated by the sanctioning body that the 28-year-old will then face the winner of Vargas versus Castro for the full WBC title. Carrington, to his credit, has long been clamoring for his title shot while, at the same time, possessing a resume that fails to prove he's world level.
What do you expect? The WBC keeps doing guys favors. Why'd you make Ray Vargas a champion in recess? For as long as he's been out, he should have been stripped.
Bruce's assignment next month, however, will be the outspoken American's first 12-round bout, featuring on the undercard of Xander Zayas versus Jorge Perez. A dust-up between Vargas and Carrington, then, is likely to unfold in the not-so-distant future, with Fulton, on the other hand, looking to become a three-division world champion. It's not even for love of Bruce Carrington, but for love of the sport, for love of boxing and fights that need to happen in a timely fashion, that I get upset when the World Boxing Council allows Ray a voluntary title defense when he has a mandatory in the queue. You're just dragging this out and making it take longer than it needs to. So why does Ray Vargas get this consideration, but Dimitri Bivol didn't?
You're not on Ray Vargas' ass the way you were on Dimitri's. About 15 seconds after he became champion, you were already bogging him down with a mandatory. Whereas Ray Vargas has been WBC champion a lot longer, and you don't put any pressure on him. You give him some lofty designation, champion in recess, so that he can get his belt back whenever he feels like it.
And he's got a mandatory in the queue, the same as Dimitri Bivol, but you see how different they treat these fighters. So I don't imagine that Bruce Carrington will stay at featherweight long enough to unify a title, much less become an undisputed champion, because I've been watching him at his weigh-ins, and he's looking dry. He's looking gone. At 28 years old, it's not getting easier to boil down to 126, so he might be there long enough to get the fight with Ray Vargas, but I expect him to move up shortly after that.
Move up to 130.
He's gonna have to. He can't make featherweight forever. He was always on borrowed time in that division, keeping things anticlimactic at 126, because you could make a fight between any two champions at that weight, any two belt holders, and it would yield a fan-friendly aesthetic. But nothing's really happening. Nothing is really going on that should be.
Boring.
In men's welterweight news, Brian Norman doesn't see Jaron Ennis' bout as a missed opportunity. Why would he? He never wanted that fight, and that's what I've maintained throughout. You can't miss an opportunity for something you don't want. WBO welterweight champion Brian Norman can't seem to extricate himself from conversations about Jaron Ennis. In an interview with Ron Goodall of Fight Hype, Norman fielded questions about his June 19th bout with Jin Sasaki, but also plenty on Ennis, who may be bound for 154. Ennis and Norman negotiated to fight in late 2024, but Norman felt his purse should have been higher and Matchroom wouldn't meet his desired figure.
Did you hear that, Brim? No mention of that word salad you've been peddling to people.
At the end of the day, the fight fell apart because they wanted more money. Norman has taken plenty of criticism for not taking the fight with open arms, given that he would have earned the biggest purse of his career for facing Ennis.
Did you hear that, Brim?
I wish him the best at 154, Norman said of Ennis, whose wins over Raymond Stanionis in April made him the unified IBF, WBA, and Ring Magazine champion. I don't see the failed fight as a missed opportunity eventually, I'm pretty sure I may move up to 154 and start making noise up there. If he keeps doing his thing at 154, we can still make the fight happen. Norman couldn't resist a couple of jabs at Eddie Hearn of Matchroom Boxing. However, whose announcement about Ennis moving up to 154 came the week before Norman's fight, and who suggested that Norman ducked the fight with Ennis.
Well, he did.
It's the problem with the American boxing scene. Too many fans advocate for the wrong things and forgive these fighters when they don't do their job. Norman, 24, boasts a record of 27-0 with 21 KOs. That glows on paper, but the welterweight division is thin, and Norman is yet to test himself against the best fighters in it, so his ceiling is difficult to ascertain. Perhaps a fight with Japan's Sasaki, 19-1 with 1 draw, 17 knockouts, will help with that. Sasaki lost to the still unbeaten Andy Hirioka via a vicious 11th round TKO back in 2021. He drew with Kotaro Sakine in a 2022 6th round fight. Since then, Sasaki has won 7 in a row, 6 by stoppage. The fight will take place in Ota City General Gymnasium in Tokyo. Norman, who fancies himself a road warrior, said he was acclimated to the time change in Japan shortly after arriving and loves the country.
I'll bet he does. It puts him 1,300 miles away from Jaron Ennis and that fight.
I don't really care where I fight at. It's still a boxing ring, Norman said, but this is the same Brian Norman who didn't want to fight Boots in Philly, but you're okay to fight Sasaki in Japan. Norman said he'd love to return to Japan in the future, even to fight Hirioka, who's won 10 consecutive fights inside the distance and is squarely in his prime, though Hirioka is currently fighting at 140, and if the bout with Sasaki gets complicated, Norman's not concerned. When times get hard for some reason, I love it. Could it be more obvious that the Normans never had any intention of fighting Boots, and now that he's moving up, they are breathing a collective sigh of relief? They'll entertain fights with almost anybody. Jin Sasaki, Andy Hirioka, Devin Haney.
I ain't even want to get on discussing this right now, but we had business earlier. I mean, we got business to take care of, but I was asking earlier would y'all would be interested in that fight next because I know we was on the list. You feel what I'm saying? So that's how I was coming the first time. But listen, hear me out though, Bill. So I fell asleep because you know it's 10:30 in the morning, Tuesday morning. All right, so check it out. So I fell asleep on your interview. I fell asleep listening, so I ain't really hear everything. But then when I woke up, man, I woke up the shit about Devin, talking about my son ass. I'm like, damn, bro, what the fuck all that come from? What's that about?
Well, you know, listen, let me tell you this. You a fighter, and I've listen, watch this. I've watched you and Greg Hackett go at it, and then after, I done seen y'all, you know what I mean, pound it out and become the best. So let them do that. Let them do that. We can't take that away from them. You know what I'm saying? Their job is to be fighters and to stay wound up and stay tight about it. And our job is to stay connected and not have no excuse for it not to happen.
Yeah, ain't no love. Hey, well, listen, I want to come on, just give a shout out. Ness was reaching out. I didn't know you was back on. Like I said, it's been a long day for me because to me it was it's been going on since yesterday, pretty much. And because we 13 hours ahead,
Man,
so I done
listen,
fell asleep.
thank you for coming. Thank you.
Yeah,
Listen, King, no. Handle your business. Thank you and excuse my dear friend Ness and his bullshit, getting in the way. I know what 48 hours before going to get that money. Go get that money, King, and then we gonna
yeah,
holler after, okay? And don't even
absolutely,
worry about that. I told you then. Listen,
absolutely.
I told you then when everybody was saying that they wouldn't fight your son. I told you, I said, when the time came and we can do it, I'm not going to freeze you out and not provide no payday. Didn't I tell you that?
That's a bet. Yeah. All right. Well,
Yeah,
shit. Let's
didn't I
make
say
let's
that?
make
I
it
said that. I said that. I
let's
said
make it happen, man. Let's make it happen. We got to go take
listen,
care of this
listen.
business.
Listen. When I told you, I said, listen, it's going to be probably where I have a choice. My son has a choice to give you a payday and make it happen, and I'm not going to freeze you out. Didn't I say that?
So now you see why the Normans aren't the least bit bothered that their meal ticket is leaving the division, it's because they figure they've got a fight like this in their back pocket. Haney versus Norman, based on a promise, an empty promise, that Bill Haney made them. But Bill Haney is in no position to deliver on that promise, because who's supposed to promote that fight? Bill Haney? Who's supposed to cut the checks? DHP? With whose money?
Matchrooms?
The same Matchroom whose offer the Normans did not accept for Boots, they will now accept for Devin. Assuming Matchroom even makes an offer to the Normans on Devin Haney's behalf.
It's not a unification match. Devin Haney's stock isn't exactly on the up and up. In fact, it's way down. He's a laughing stock who nobody even wants to see fight, because he's a runner.
What are you expecting? That Matchroom is going to offer you more money for Devin than what they offered you for Boots? Or is it that you're expecting someone else to make you an offer for Devin? Say Turkey LL Sheik, who just said they can no longer support any more Tom and Jerry fights. Do you think that only applied to William Skull?
What were people saying after Devin's fight with Jose Ramirez? You think Turkey didn't see what they were saying?
Bill is a wannabe business guy, making promises that he by himself can't deliver on unless someone financially backs him. And maybe Matchroom is still willing to do business with Bill and Devin, but that's the same Matchroom that the Normans were unhappy with. So you're kind of back at square one.
And the other thing, who's to say that just because Bill Haney said it, he meant it? Who's to say that just because Bill Haney made a promise, he's gonna deliver on it?
You just spent 36 minutes playing keep away with a slow-footed, shot-to-shit Jose Ramirez, so that you can then turn around and fight a younger fighter at a higher weight in Brian Norman.
You think that Brian Norman is their first choice? A fighter like Brian?
Do you think he's their first choice? Or even their second, their third choice? Brian, as limited as he is a very, very dangerous fight for Devin Haney that doesn't pay that much.
What do you think Brian is going to do? Fence and fiddle with Devin? He's going to come forward, crash the pocket, and try to mow him down. He's naturally bigger than Devin and punches harder.
You saw that Devin had to go hell for leather with Vasyl Lomachenko all the way down there at 135, and you saw what happened to him at the hands of Brian Garcia. So what do you think would happen to him at the hands of Brian Norman?
Provided that Brian beats Jin Suzuki later on this week, they got it in their heads they're gonna fight Devin right after that.
Talk about naive. And why? Because Bill said? Bill?
Is Bill the one who's gonna promote the fight? Is he the one who's gonna cut the checks? Who's supposed to pay for all this?
Because Bill said. I remember when Bill said he spoke to Nick Khan about a Subriel Matias fight, except that Nick Khan doesn't manage Subriel Matias. And the entire boxing community at large let this bullshitter get away with that bold-faced lie. Enough people didn't call him out on it.
That now you believe he's gonna get you a Haney fight because he promised. He pinky swore.
So all that's left to do now is wait for Brian to hold up his end of the bargain, and we'll see if Bill delivers on that promise.
We got action. Who's taking bets?
How many of you guys out there believe that Bill Haney will hold to his word and push to make Haney versus Norman?